Hello, dear friends, and welcome to the early evening show with Eshaan Akbar, the video and audio journal that I'm refusing to call a podcast. Now, someone on YouTube commented last week that video and audio journal, the acronym is basically VAG. And you know what? I like it. So I'm going to go with it. This is the VAG with Eshaan Akbar. The VAG of Eshaan Akbar. Eshaan Akbar's VAG. I don't know how I feel about Eshaan Akbar's VAG. Look, we'll go with it for now, right? We'll go with it for now. So welcome to episode 2. Look, at the moment, it is very much a podcast, isn't it? It's a podcast with a video element. I am trying to turn it into a show. Give me a bit of time. I need to work stuff out first. I want to get into the rhythm of posting regularly, recording regularly, doing all of that stuff, and then eventually I'll have some flourishes. For example, maybe I'll have more than one camera, right? Maybe I'll have some like transition music and transition shots and shit like that, basically. But the joy, I think, for you and for me is that we will be on this journey together. And at the end of the day, isn't all that matters the friendships we make along the way. I nearly fucked that sentence up because I didn't believe a word I was saying. Isn't it, at the end of the day, isn't the only thing that matters the friendships that we make along the way? Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Anyway, every week I'm going to talk to you about the week I've had, what's been going on, what's kind of on my mind, and also a new-ish thing. Well, of course it's new-ish. It's new. The whole fucking thing is new. So why am I calling it new-ish? Shut up, Eshaan, you fucking idiot. A new thing on this brand new video and audio journal. The brand new VAG. The new thing on my brand new VAG is a segment that I'm calling Special Guest, the Audience. Now, I want you to guess what that could mean. Have you guessed yet? Okay. If you didn't say that the special guest is the audience, then I would rather you listen to another podcast. No, I said it. See, this is the thing. It fucking gets you. The whole setup, the microphone, the camera, the headphones. It makes you believe you're doing a podcast, but I don't want to call it a podcast, even though it obviously is. Yeah, if you guessed that it's not, that the special guest is the audience, you're an idiot. On Instagram, by the way, which you can follow, at Early Evening Show, or on YouTube as well. I'll put it out on YouTube. You can just send me thoughts, feelings, observations, anything that you want me to kind of talk about. Whatever's on your mind, something that happened in your week, a question for me to answer, serious, not serious, anything goes, all right? So you just reach out to me through all the means necessary. You know, there's the Instagram handle, there is the YouTube comments, there is my link tree, which has got my mailing list. Get in touch. Don't come to my house. Maybe get in touch with my agent. That seems like a bit of a long-winded way to reach me. But if that's something that you feel like you want to do, then by all means do that. Anyway, so I've got a few of those that we'll talk about. And, you know, we'll just spitball, you know, and see what happens. So with that in mind, how's your week been? Hope you've had a nice one. Hope you've been feeling either productive or useful or happy. Perhaps I probably did that in the wrong order. I hope you've been feeling happy, numero uno, then useful, then productive. Because being productive doesn't always mean happy or useful. You know, you could be productive, making a billionaire richer. Is that useful? I don't know. Does it make you happy? Maybe. I don't know what your value systems are. I know that I left a career in banking because it wasn't making me happy, you know? So, you know, have a think about that. Have you watered the plants? Is that something that you've managed to pull off in the last week? Did you need to? or dust down a surface, or take out the thing that's been like sitting in the corner of your room for fucking ages. Have you managed to do that? Because here's the thing about me, right? I am a semi-organized person, right? And what I mean by this is my diary, my Google Calendar, is impeccable. I know you didn't expect that I could speak French, but I can. My Google Calendar is impeccable. Dans le calendar, as in the calendar, dans le calendar, c'est très entré. Are very many entries. I don't know if the French for entries is entre, but I've said it. No one can stop me. No one can. Oh, that might get copyrighted, so I'm not going to do that. So the Google Calendar is very well organized, right? But I think I ignore a good 80% of my own entries, right? My travel times and my gigs, they're the ones I don't ignore, right? Because I have to get to places on time and I have to do my gigs. And some meetings that I have with external people. But all the other stuff that I put in there to make the calendar look good, it looks good. And also, that's not why I put it in there. I haven't just put it in there to make the calendar look good. I've put those entries in there because I fully intend to do those things, right? But my propensity for ignoring those very things that I painstakingly take the time to put into my diary is way too high. It is way too high. It's one of the key things I want to change about myself. I absolutely hate it. Do I like the way the calendar looks? Yes. Do I hold myself accountable? Fucking no. It's so hard. I don't know how you do it. If any of you are out there and you know how to keep yourself accountable, please tell me. Because that guy ain't me, bruv. And similarly, people will say, okay, well, why don't you get someone to hold you accountable? Right. Well, a few things about that. Number one, whether or not I'm in a relationship is entirely my business. So don't ask me that. If you then also want to know whether I work well with a personal trainer maybe, or somebody like a personal coach or a life coach, someone, I don't care. Like, I've ghosted, I'd say, maybe 4 or 5 personal trainers in my time, both in person and online, right? Because they tried to hold me accountable. And I couldn't fucking do it. And I need... It is so frustrating as a quality of mine that I put these things in my diary and I don't do them. So me even asking you, frankly, whether you've done those little things is really rich coming from me, because who the hell do I think I am? How unacceptable. And I completely understand if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts, you're looking at me and you're thinking, who the hell are you? How dare you? So with that in mind, I guess at this juncture, around 10 minutes into the episode, I'd like to extend my most humble apologies. I am nobody to be asking you that. But if you want to share it with me, by all means fucking share it with me. All right? But I do hope you've had a nice week. I hope you've had a nice week and good things have happened for you, and good things that continue to happen for you. And if any bad things have happened, I hope that those things get better. Will I start every podcast like this with these good wishes? Probably not. In fact, there's a very high likelihood that I won't. But today, this is what's in my heart. So that's what you're getting from me. I think that's fair enough, isn't it? Me being honest about that. I had a really lovely week. Thanks for asking. Great question. Did a really cool thing last week. I went to watch a documentary screening of something called the Palestine Comedy Club at the BFI. Not the BFI in IMAX, in Waterloo, but there's a smaller BFI on Stephen Street in Soho. I won't tell you too many details about exactly what I saw because I know that they're going to be screening the Palestine Comedy Club documentary in and around the UK in the next few weeks and months. And I'll put some details down as soon as I have them on my social media, most likely. But just let it be said, it was beautiful, it was moving, it was insightful. It really put in perspective when I get wound up about some of the gigs that I do and have in the past worried about, right? Because let me tell you something. When you're trying to be a comedian in a place like that, shit's real, innit? Shit's real. Like, I will say, there probably isn't anywhere in the UK that is going to be as tough as some of the places that these 6 comedians were performing in and around Palestine and Israel. But is King's Lynn a shithole? Yes. It is King's Lynn potentially now that I think about it, is King's Lynn potentially a worse place to perform than Jerusalem? The answer is yes. I've not performed in Jerusalem. I'd love to. That would be bloody... I mean, what an amazing experience that would be. If someone said to me, you have the option of performing in Jerusalem or King's Lynn, do you know what I'd say? Fuck King's Lynn. This is how much I hate that place, right? I've only ever done one gig there, and I vowed never to gig again in King's Lynn. And I told my agent. And in fact, I said this story, I just remembered, on a podcast I recorded last week called What It Takes, which will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. But I'm happy to double up, right? Basically, it was this. I was about 3 years in, right? I got on stage, and as soon as I walked on stage, 10 lads got up and walked out immediately. Now, I only had about 10 minutes. I asked them there and then, all right, lads, what are you doing? You all going for a piss or something at the same time? Which, when you're 3 years in and you've got 10 minutes, it's not bad, you know? It's 2016. I was 2 years in. I lied. 2016, 2 years in. And they basically turned around and said, well, we don't want to hear what a Packy has to say. I should have put a trigger warning there first. Okay. A trigger warning, racism. Racism? I was going to say racist slur. Racism. Trigger warning, racism. They said, we don't want to hear what Packy has to say. And I was like, right, well, okay, I guess it's that kind of gig. There's a comedian called Gordon Southern. Excellent comic. He was on after me, closing the show. He started talking about Brexit. This is 2016. Brexit's, a big topic at the time. And there's a table of about 4, average age about 96. And one of them says, stop talking about Brexit. The black guy before you was talking about Brexit. What? And Gordon goes, sorry, black guy? And they were like, yeah, the black guy before you. And Gordon goes, well, Eshaan? Eshaan's not black. And if you're listening to this on the audio, I apologise if I've let you down, or congratulations on your guess. Well done. Gordon says, well, he's not black, to which this table of 4 respond, he smells black. I don't even know what that means! To this day, 10 years later, I have no idea what they meant by that. It makes no sense. Right? Because amongst the racist tropes, I don't think that black people smell is one of the racist tropes that applies to that community. Like that's not one that I've heard. If anything, black people smell delicious. They smell sensational. I don't think I've ever met a black person who doesn't smell great, right? So inspired have I been by some of the black people I've met over the years about how great they smell, their hygiene. They moisturize regularly. Regularly. Cocoa butter, shea butter, fragrances. Like, what are you talking about, bruv? That even if you have spent no time with people in the black community, how is it possible for you to even come up with that trope? Now, if he said, let's say I was a black comic, right? And the guy said, oh, the Asian guy before you was talking about Brexit, and Gordon said, we haven't had an Asian guy. And he said, he smells Asian. Sorry to say, that makes sense to me. That is a trope you can see even if you've spent no time amongst Asian people, right? I'm not saying Asian people or Asian. I'm not saying all Asian people smell, right? There is a distinct scent, right, from our households and all this kind of stuff. I got bullied for it. Fine, whatever. Even if you look at like videos online, right, and you see those racist AI videos. A lot of them are AI, but some of them are real, and some mad shit is happening, and people are making food with their feet, right? I can see how you might make that leap. But what does it mean that he smells black? Makes absolutely no sense to me. Let me tell you something. I'd love to smell black. All right? If my skin was that pristine and I smelled like that, I would be not be doing a podcast, mate. I'd not be doing a solo podcast anyway. Yeah? Because I'd be on an island somewhere looking and feeling sexy as shit, bruv. Anyway, that's not the end of the story, right? So Gordon finishes the set, right? He doesn't want to do the gig anymore. And he packs up and we go to the car park. And Gordon had driven me to the show. It just so happened that he was parked directly opposite this table of four. And the woman, one of the women, says to Gordon, how dare you call a woman of my age the C word? Trigger warning, swearing. How dare you call a woman of my age a cunt? Actually, the way in which, sorry, just sidetrack, the grace with which I, and the process by which I said the C word was so much nicer than the way I just dropped the P-bomb on you lot. And you know what? I want to take this opportunity to apologise. Because what the fuck is that, bro? What the actual... What the hell is that? Why and how did I give more grace to the C-bomb than the P-bomb? We've got to unpack that some, haven't we? That's crazy work. Absolutely crazy work. Woman says to Gordon, how dare you call a woman of my age the C-bomb? I'm old enough to be your mother. And Gordon said, well, you were being a cunt. That's why I said it, right? And her husband or her friend, I don't know, they all look the same. Is that racist? Yeah, probably. He says to Gordon, you're not English because you are voting to stay in the European Union and you're driving a, trigger warning, Paki home. Gordon was ready to punch this motherfucker in the face, right? And I said to Gordon, please just get in the car because if the police turn up, it's me in trouble, bruv. All right? So let's just go. 4-hour drive back to London. Gordon barely said 2 words to me. He was in absolutely enraged. And that is why I don't like King's Lynn. Now, does that mean everybody in King's Lynn is like that? No. But I don't want to go back. I ended up going back for a wedding a few years later. But I wasn't going to let myself go on stage again. I'm never going to do it. Just no need. Just gives me the ick. Excuse me. Excuse me. Gives me the ick. King's Lynn. Anyway, so that's the King's Lynn story. And I can't remember why I even told you that. But the big thing that I've been doing this week, very important, I have been gigging. I had some lovely gigs in Chester with my best friend, one of my best friends, Dan Nightingale. Chester at the St Mary's Creative. It's an church that they do a comedy club in, and the following day in Warminster. And I really, really enjoyed doing those gigs because not only were they really fun gigs, but I got the opportunity to continue my dad, who is an immigrant to this country, continue my dad's and subsequently my family's relentless colonization of the United Kingdom. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, oh boy, how am I going to do this calmly? Billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the owner of Manchester United Football Club, the football club that I support, by the way, this week said in an interview, well, last week in an interview said on Sky News, that the UK is being colonised by immigrants. Now then, let me tell you something, brothers. If, indeed, the UK is being colonised by immigrants, on behalf of all the immigrant communities, i.e. those that aren't born in the UK and have moved here, having been, in the last 2 to 3 months, places as far afield as Chester, Warminster, Torquay, Ivybridge, St Ives, St Austell, Droylsden, Runcorn. Places like this. Outskirts of Leeds. Can't remember the name of the places. Actually, let me have a quick look at my diary and tell you some other places that I have been to recently in the last week. Wetherby, Cleckheaton. Yeah? These places. Let me tell you something. Immigrants, we ain't colonising hard enough. All right? Not doing a good enough job. Because considering that a huge swathe of immigrants, 80 to 90% of immigrants in this country, probably come from places that were colonised by Great Britain. It looks like we haven't learnt anything from them. You know? Because of the most recent colonisers, Great Britain, pow, numero uno, baby, 250 years in India. Taking that part of the world from contributing 35% to the world's GDP to less than 3% by the time they left. Hey? We haven't learned anything from them because I went to all these places to do gigs and I think I can count on one hand the number of non-white people that were there. And you know, I've said this, obviously, the country's 82% white. Fine. Don't care. But to say that the UK is being colonised by immigrants, when not a single, well, 6 non-white people across what I said, 8 cities there, 10 cities, 10 towns, 10 villages. When I was in Chester, I said, you know what? I'm going to help. Because there is no point, as I'm getting older, if someone accuses you of something that you're not doing, I think the best response is to fucking do the thing. So do you know what, Sir Jim Ratcliffe? I don't even want to call you sir. Fuck off. You know what, Jim Ratcliffe? Yeah, I'm going to go and colonise. This is me putting it out there. If there are men and women in those parts that would like to be colonised by me, I don't know what that means. Let me know. I'll come and do it. Shit like that really, really pisses me off, man. Because, come on, what the hell do you mean? What do you mean, colonised? Now, he's rescinded on the fact that he used the word colonised, but he's already put it out into the ether. He's put that out into the ether. Now that's going to be in the political discourse that Reform are going to use to potentially, most likely, probably get elected, right? Fine. What? What do you mean? And then there was another clip, right, coming out of Farage saying, oh, when you go to East London, you walk out of the station and you see the train station sign in another language. He's talking about Whitechapel, where I was born. That's what he's talking about. It's written in Bengali. Why? Because they wanted to celebrate the contribution the Bangladeshi community has made to that part of London since their arrival. By the way, in post-war Britain, because it was so decimated, they needed to rebuild the place. And even then, it didn't stop the National Front from killing Altab Ali, right? Didn't stop them from killing Altab Ali. When was it? In 1978. Right? A garment textile worker stabbed to death. And the Bangladeshi community responded in kind. They didn't kill anyone, but they responded in kind. 2 stations in the whole country have got another language on them. Southall and Whitechapel. Right? Southall where the Punjabis are, Whitechapel where the Bengalis are. The whole country to just recognise their contribution. What the fuck is going on? Now, I'm not, as you can probably sense, like, I'm not a political, I guess in some respects I am a political comic. I talk about this stuff, particularly race and immigration and everything. But all that is to say, you know, like, there is a lot of misinformation out there, right? And you guys need to tread carefully. Please tread carefully. Because the country is not just London, and London is not the country, right, in and of itself. Sure, there are parts of Birmingham and Manchester and Leeds and London that have got large, you know, ethnic populations. Could be Pakistani, could be Bangladeshi, could be Afro-Caribbean, whatever it is. So? What? Like, here's why it's important. Let me tell you why immigration diversity is important. When I was coming back from Warminster, right, I need to go through a drive-thru. I needed to go through a drive-thru because I was very hungry. I needed to pick up some snacks. I went to McDonald's. In Warminster, from the people that I spoke to, or at least served me, across the 3 windows, they had the automated service. I'm not going to assume what colour they were, what race they were, but if it was the same person taking the orders, they were white, right? That I paid. They were white. And the servers, as I looked inside in the McDonald's, there were 4 members of staff and they were all white, right? Warminster. It was meant to be a 2-minute diversion. It added 36 minutes to my journey, not because my order was big, but because they couldn't deal with the amount of orders. And it made me realise, without immigrants, those McDonald's ain't running properly, bruh. Without immigrant work ethic, that shit ain't working properly. That's why it's important. But also, beyond that, here's one thing on the flip side of this conversation that really fucks me off is, I know I just cited an example of why it's important. Every time advocates, right, for immigration, they keep talking about, oh, well, they're nurses, they're doctors, they're your minicab drivers, they're your bakery workers, they're your... Fine, all of that is true. My dad has been in the ambulance service for 35 years, right? He's been a paramedic for a good 20 of those, 25 years of those. A true immigrant story, right? Came from Pakistan, worked his fucking socks off so that one day his son will be able to sit in his bedroom and record a podcast by himself. But the advocates for immigration, your sole argument cannot be economic contribution. What is this? At which point do we start discussing the humanity of the people that are just coming, saying, look, it's a bloke, it's a woman who wants to better their life for whatever reason it could be. Because they live in a place that's ravaged by war. They live in a place that's ravaged by famine. Do you think that the people that want to come here, all of them have bad intentions? Of course they fucking don't. Human beings, we all want the same thing. To be able to live an easy life as possible. As stress-free life as possible. Why do we keep saying, oh, their contribution? I don't give a fucking toss about it, mate. I don't care. Your economic contribution, because look, the economy, particularly in the UK, is fucked. And people aren't contributing. Do you know who's not contributing? Billionaires. Like Jim Ratcliffe. Who can domicile themselves and stay in fucking Monaco. And pay £0 of tax. The man could have paid hundreds of millions, if not billions, in tax to the UK. But then he's having a go at benefit scroungers. I don't give a fuck about benefit scroungers, bro. What, people want to milk the system a bit to try and survive? Some of them are fraudsters, sure. Get them. But why is our focus constantly at the bottom rung of this country? Well, certainly that's where they place everybody. And we just let the top just absolve doing whatever the fuck. Hey, you want to be a nonce? Don't worry about it. Me and my friends will pay £12 million. Because that's what the Queen paid out to Andrew. And by the way, it was really unfortunate that when I said, you want a nonce, I said, me and my friends. Don't worry about it. Do not clip that up out of context, you fuckers. This global news about Jeffrey Epstein and Andrew and all these powerful people. We want to protect our women. Well, go on then. What? Everybody's losing their fucking minds, man. It's doing my head in. And Jim Ratcliffe, you stupid tosser. The UK's being colonised by immigrants. Like I said, we're not doing a good enough job. And this is my call to all immigrants and sons and daughters of immigrants. Let the colonising begin, brothers and sisters. Do it. Because I don't know if you've been to some of these sleepy towns that I go to, towns and villages. Everything shuts by 9 p.m. I used to split my time between London and Lancaster. Lancaster, dead. Everything was done by 10. What are we doing? Need a bit of life in these places, man. And also, if you are an advocate for immigration, stop talking about the jobs they do, for goodness sake. Give it a rest, man. Talk about the humanity that we can extend instead. We don't talk about the contributions that people who were born and raised here who are white. We don't talk about that, the ones that aren't, are we? We don't talk about the fact that some of them aren't attaining at school. We don't talk about the fact that they're fucking not working. Unemployment is so high. Do you think that all the unemployment is immigrant communities? Of course it's fucking not. The priorities that we seem to have in this country about who we're angry about is absolutely fucking mental, bro. And then, I don't know, this podcast is much less funny and more angry, and I apologise about that, but, you know, that's what... I said podcast again, this vag. This vag is much angrier than I had intended for it to be. And I apologise for that. But it's what you get. This is the vag that you get, my friends. All right? The thing, you know, when people get angry about our women and children who are unsafe, you're right to be angry. But it should be anybody that harms women and children should be the source of your ire and your anger. If you're just rioting because there's immigrants doing it, do you know what you're saying? You're saying, we only want British paedophiles for British children. What? That doesn't make any sense. We only want British sexual assaulters for British women. What? How about this for a crazy idea? I'm just putting it out there. This is crazy to me. How about no paedophiles or sexual assaulters for all our women and children? It doesn't matter where the fuck you come from. Stop doing it. Why is the source of your ire the fact that they're from another country? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, we're fine with crime being committed here as long as it's people who are born in this country. Because even then, you're still not happy about it. If I started committing crime, you're like, well, Asian guy committing crime. What? I just... If someone can explain it to me, I would be incredibly happy. If someone can explain to me why Jim Ratcliffe, a billionaire who lives in Monaco and has done for the last 6 years and doesn't pay any tax into this country, gets off on complaining about benefits scroungers, right? Number one. And where he gets off on saying that the UK is being colonised by immigrants, when I guarantee you, other than when he flies into Manchester to go to a board meeting, I would say 98.3% of his interactions in his inner circle or his primary circle or his secondary, tertiary, what's the word after tertiary? Quadrupary? What comes after tertiary? Right, let's have a look. What is the word after what is the word after tertiary? Quaternary, right? Primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary circles. He doesn't have any immigrants or brown people in his circle. So what's he seeing? I don't know what he's talking about. The key thing, though, out of all of this is we've got to stop saying that people have a problem with immigration. People have a problem with brown people. All right? People have a problem with brown and black, and even added to that, Muslims. Let's just call a spade a spade. I think a lot of the debates would be made a lot fucking easier if we were all just honest about our racism. All right? Because here's the thing about racists. They're very good at defining their parameters. Say what you want about racists, right? It's quite helpful that the racial slurs that they use apply to certain people. Okay? Now, one of the slurs I used earlier in this episode. People who are angry about immigration, are angry mainly at Packies. I said it. Their main issue is the people that they would define as Packies. Now, I think there are some other racial slurs that fall within the brackets of who they're pissed off about, but I would say the overwhelming majority of the reformers and the Tommy Ten names and the Jimmy Ratcliffes and the Faragays is they do not want Muslim, brown, and maybe some black people. They're not upset about Chinese Muslims, are they? Maybe the Muslim thing is the issue. I'm not saying that they should. What I'm saying is, all the discourse, stop saying immigration. It's not immigration. It's because the places that they're talking about that have been colonised, again, we know they're trying to talk about Birmingham, they're trying to talk about Manchester. Fine, those places, those aren't recently arrived immigrants, bro. These are people that have been here for decades. Because, as I've already mentioned, you lot needed that shit to happen. Because the NHS had just been created. You needed our economic involvement. And also, probably another layer, it's not just brown, some black, Muslims that they have a problem with. It's poor ones. I don't see Jim Ratcliffe or Faragay complaining about Lakshmi Mittal, the steel magnate who bought Kensington Palace and hired out Versailles for his daughter's wedding. I don't see it. I don't see their issue being with the Hinduja brothers, one of the richest kind of families in the United Kingdom. UK's richest families. Let's have a quick look. Let's see if these guys are talking about... Because the Hinduja... Oh, by the way, it turns out the Hinduja brothers are at the top for the fourth consecutive year, worth £35.3 billion. They're immigrants, aren't they? Have they colonised? Because the Lakshmi Mittal buying... Hey, Lakshmi Mittal buying Kensington Palace, that feels like colonising behaviour. Far be it from me to suggest that we start having a go at him. Do you know what I mean? Right, Times Rich List 2025. Let's have a quick look at this. Who's on it? Sunday Times Rich List. Here we go. Right, top 15 fortunes. The Hinduja brothers. Right. There he is. Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's on the list, number 7. Well, it's gone down though, innit? Eh? Ineos, mate. Well, you're fucking up the football club at the same time. Oh, there's Lakshmi Mittal. I'm not saying anything about him. Those two. Interesting. Rich list. Let's see. Who are the richest Muslims? UK. See if there's any rich Muslims. Sir Anwar Pervez of Bestway Group and former Harrods owner, Mohammed Al Fayed. Oh, well, the country did have a few issues with Mohammed Al Fayed. We know that much. We know that. So, we've got Sir Anwar Pervez, the founder and chairman of the Bestway Group, a massive conglomerate involved in cash and carry, the well pharmacy and banking. He's frequently listed as one of the richest Pakistani-born individuals in the UK. He's not the immigrant that Jim Ratcliffe's talking about. Without a shadow of a doubt. Stop letting these fuckers divide us, man. It's so lame. And I'm really worried about the direction this country's going to head in. Because when I go and gig in these towns and cities and villages across the UK, I have such a great time. We have such a great time. And these people shouldn't like me, if you believe everybody. I'm a brown, fat, I don't know what the fat's got to do with it, guy from a Muslim background. privately educated. Work. Oh, that's why they like me. Sorry, I just diagnosed what the issue is. I sound and behave like them. But if they could spend a minute in my car and listen to the things that I'm listening to, the Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. I really need to get that off my chest. It really, really pissed me off. I don't even know if I've said anything of any value. If you've gleaned some value from it, thank you. You know, let me know. But as a Manchester United fan, I think like 70-odd% of the team is immigrants. But again, he's not talking about those guys. So when all these commentators who are supposedly quote unquote on my side of the debate, right? Particularly South Asian and black newsreaders and journalists, they're not saying the thing. It's not immigration, bro. It's black and brown Muslims, but predominantly brown Muslims that they don't like. And also, the other thing, I should have said this earlier. Sorry, I'm on my fucking high horse here. They keep saying, oh, they don't integrate. They don't assimilate. Number one, why are you so beggy, bro? What, are you desperate to be friends with Wasim, are you? You're desperate for you and Wasim to be friends, go down the pub? What about all the people who aren't drinking anymore? What about them? What is it that you want them to assimilate to? What is it you want them to integrate to? The last time I checked, people aren't going to church. And I saw this really interesting clip from this Muslim revert, or convert. You might know him as convert, but Muslims say revert. Where he was saying he wants nothing more than for England to become a Christian country. Become a Christian country. There might be a bit of discipline. There might be a bit of organisation. Less of the nonsing. There might be a sense of identity. Great, but you don't do it. Muslims don't have a problem with that. They don't integrate. What do you want them to do? If anybody who listens to this bit, I'm surprised you made it this far, if you can tell me what you want them to do, I don't know what I'll do. Give me some sort of challenge. I'll do it. Right? Tell me what you want me to do. What do you want them to do? And then we can try and move on. Fucking hell, I've been on this like almost an hour. If you're still here, I'm very impressed. Have I been funny? Probably not. Will I find it a struggle to find some clips out of this? Probably. But I guess that was weighing heavy on my heart. And this is the reason why you have a vag. Because when something is weighing heavy on your heart, you can get it out of your vag. Right. Special guest audience. Special guest audience. That's you. Let's see some of the stuff that you've sent to me. Someone said, Ainsley said, you smelled amazing last night. Sensational. Excuse me. Ainsley said, you smelled amazing last night. Sensational. Thank you, Ainsley. I think that was at Chester. I had a shower. I used some of my favourite fragrances, Joe Malone. Joe Malone, if you're watching this, you want to sponsor me, give me a shout. I like smelling nice. Haley asked me, do you like Vegemite? Now, I think Vegemite is the Australian equivalent of Marmite, and the answer is fucking yes, please. In 2017 at the Edinburgh Fringe, it was basically all I ate. I lived in a house share with me, Red Richardson, Ed Knight, a guy called Bob Monroe, and a guy called James Loveridge, who is now the director of comedy, I think at Little Dot Studios or something like that. They make TV programs. And every night after we'd come back at 3, I say every night, every morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we'd come back and we'd fucking eat Marmite on toast. It was my first experience of it, and I've been addicted, but I'm on it ever since. I love it. I've always had Marmite in my pantry. A pantry. So yes, I do like Marmite. Lashings of butter. Go and look up the picture of Tom Hanks eating Vegemite or Marmite. I think it was during COVID. It is a heroic amount of Marmite. I love Marmite, but not that much. Let me know if Vegemite is any different. John Bruce asked, why the fuck did the 99 Club advertise you playing there last night? Well, I was supposed to be playing there last night. We got it booked in ages ago. But there was a clash. There was a whole diary issue of my own. It was predominantly my fault. I did tell them I didn't know if they had updated the website. Clearly they hadn't. But this can happen. And that's a caveat that I'll give to any of you that go and watch comedy shows. The lineups are subject to change. Anything can happen. So... it is better if there's a particular comedian that you want to see. Hopefully they're there that night, but go and see them on tour. Like that's the thing that you want to be doing. Rowena said, happy Valentine's weekend. Thank you so much. Did I have anybody with me? No, I was in Chester having a lovely time. Maybe I ought to talk about Valentine's weekend, but I've spent so long talking about fucking immigration that I haven't been able to talk about love. Shahid asks, thoughts on Mock the Week, now on TLC. Now, I did Mock the Week 3 times. I had a really lovely time. It's one of those shows that I grew up watching, and I was very glad to have done it. That they've moved on to TLC, number one, weird channel. I don't know how many people have got TLC, but I think they're being quite clear about the fact that they want this to be social media driving, right? So they're going to try and put everything on social media. The curious thing for me, and I'm very curious to see, is whether they can translate the format to online in a way that makes people want to watch. Because I think there is a generation, people in their 30s and 40s and 50s and up, who are familiar with Mock the Week. Do younger people fuck with it like that? I don't know. I'll give you a sense of it. On my second time doing it, the night before I was going to film it, so it was a Monday night. The filming was on Tuesday. Ori Styler, wonderful comedian, go and check him out. He had a night on, and his audience are very young, very dynamic, majority black, I would say, in that particular gig. And I said to him, I need to try some material for Mock the Week, and he said, "Come and do it here." I kind of put it out online, and he invited me to do the gig. So I had 5 minutes and to try out my jokes for Mock the Week. I died so hard. Oh my God, I died so hard. Because the audience didn't care. And why would they? They wouldn't care about me trying that material because it's not a show that they care about. And so... I don't know, man. It was rough. So I don't know if they would whether the young people are going to fuck with it in the same way. It'll be interesting to see. Now, I'm looking forward. That night also there was a review. A reviewer came in, and fuck that guy who came and reviewed 5-minute brand new stuff on this gig. And I just quickly looked up online. Eshaan Akbar Mock the Week review, and his AI has given me this. Let me read this out to you. He said, Eshaan Akbar's appearances on Mock the Week, roughly 2019 to 2022, were well received, marking him as a notable, confident new voice on the panel show. He was the first comedian of Bengali heritage to appear on the programme. Key aspects of his appearance. Akbar often focused on his upbringing in a mixed heritage household. I did. His contributions included sharp observational humour on identity, race relations, and navigating life as a British-born Muslim. Now, I did talk about identity and race relations today, but alas. He was described, I don't know who described me, as a natural, confident, and relentlessly entertaining comic. Come on! Who fit well into the show's fast-paced, often chaotic, satirical style. Reception, he was noted for having a genial rapport with the audience and was praised for providing a fresh perspective. Interesting. This is a funny bit at the end. While some of his stand-up reviews in later years, around 23 to 24, indicated a more polarised reception to his material on social issues and a 2024 controversy regarding a joke about the October 7th massacre, his Mock the Week performances were generally considered successful, polished, and confident additions to the series. Now, let me see if I can find this actual... There we go, Sunday Antics. This is... No, I know I read all that stuff. This is how you get balance, right? This is what the review. This is what the review says. That's not to say the evening is without tension. He's talking about Ori Siler's night. Boozy front row hecklers destabilise proceedings, particularly when Eshaan Akbar is on stage. I can't blame them. Akbar uses his set to road test Mock the Week material, and it's very weak indeed. Thank you very much, Brian Logan. And do you know what? As you saw, ChatGPT has got the knowledge. Confident, assured, I think it might be a word that I've added, addition to the Mock the Week family. If you're watching this on audio, I've got 2 middle fingers up to the camera. No, listen to this on audio. 2 middle fingers up to the camera. Right. I've talked for almost an hour by myself, and I think a large part of that was taken up about immigration, and I apologise. I'll try and be funnier next week. Thank you so much for listening or watching, whatever you've done with this episode today. Follow me at Eshaan Akbar. Follow the show at Early Evening Show. Send me your thoughts, feelings, observations, stories for me to talk about next week. I'll probably do that in greater detail and length next time. Hopefully between now and then. No other billionaires say absolute bollocks about immigration or anything else like that. And beyond that, I hope you have a lovely week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and stay well, stay happy, be kind, and don't be racist or xenophobic now. Thank you, and good night.